Unqualified Heroes! Yes, sir! Season 2, bonus episode 1
Bonus episode.
of
This is the first one.
2023. Wow. Phase 5 is officially here, guys. If you don't know who I am, my name is Daniel Perez. I'm one of your co-hosts.
And I am Messi Morales, and we are
Unqualified Heroes. So, today, as I said before, is a bonus episode. Why? Because Phase 5 has begun. Ant-Man Quantumania is here. If you haven't seen it, don't watch the rest of this episode until you've seen it, because we're going full spoilers. But before that, we have a special guest for us because it's a bonus episode, and we always got guests for our bonus episodes. So, we'll go ahead and bring him in and let him introduce himself. We got the man of the hour, Billy D. Adams.
That's crazy. Shout out my old roomie, man. Thank you for having me on. I've been fortunate to see your stuff, and you guys are as big of Marvel fans as I am and a lot of other people, so it's nice to see some friends of mine being some streamers and doing some big stuff. I love y'all.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thank you.
So, this is our guest. He's back. He's my college roomie. So we go way back. It's what a time that was being in the dorms.
Too. Shout out my
But 305.
305.
305. That was our dorm room. But so Ant-Man Quantumania is here. It's just we're gonna go full spoilers ahead. Messi has his classic catchphrase.
And you have been warned.
You've been warned.
Yeah.
So if you hear a spoiler and you didn't want to, that's too bad. You are already warned about it. So we'll just do a quick, brief, I guess, less than 60-second opinion on the movie, and then we'll dive deep into it. Billy, you're our guest. I'll let you go first. What'd you think?
I think it fits with what the reviews have been saying. I'm not a guy who listens to reviews, but for those who've watched it and have seen the reviews, 53% now, and I guess dropping. A lot of people said it's a Star Wars movie in an Avengers universe, and it's carried by Kang. And I could totally see why they were saying that. I mean, Jonathan Majors and what he did with the character is great. He's menacing, he's controlling, and I love that they did not wait for a Thanos-level threat for 12 movies. They just introduced him right off the bat. And he carried that movie. As much as I love Scott Lang and love how charming Lang is, Kang carried the movie. I thought it was very entertaining. I think the quantum realm is something we got to get used to seeing for a entirety of a film because it's so wonky with the way everything moves and morphs and the way everything's evolving. And then also the CGI, you could tell was a little bit off. Not terrible, not She-Hulk level, but the inconsistencies were there. But I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good opener for Phase 4. I will give it that.
Phase 5.
Phase 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said Phase 4. Phase 5. We're already on 5.
We're already on 5. Yeah. That's good stuff. Messi?
I do agree a lot with what Mr. Billy said. It has its up and down. It's not the worst MCU movie. I don't know why it's so low on the Rotten Tomatoes, but it's not. It's not the worst MCU movie. Thor is worse. Eternals, but the expectations of this movie, if you have really high expectations, I'm sorry, it's gonna disappoint. But again, it's not a bad movie. The acting is good. Kang, in every scene that he was in, he did 100% his role. You can tell that difference from Who He Remains and Kang the Conqueror were 100% different, even though it's the same actor. If you were to compare them, there's no comparisons, said the actor. The chemistry between the older Cassie, whatever her name is, the daughter
Cassie.
of Ant-Man, Cassie and Scott Lang. I thought it was gonna be way off because of the trailer and stuff like that. She was in jail, yada yada yada. But the chemistry between them, it was one of the good parts of the whole movie. But other than that, the movie was good. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I agree with a lot of what both of you guys said. I will say, I think what kind of what Messi was alluding to, this movie does not need to be where the ratings are at. Or either that, or you gotta rate other movies a whole lot lower, because this is not Eternals level. Like, Eternals and this should not be the lowest Rotten Tomatoes scores. So Rotten Tomatoes can suck my nut. I will say this: I just looked up the Rotten Tomatoes score right before we started recording, and right now they're sitting 48. At 48, and the audience score is at 84. The audience score clearly disagrees. Never trust Rotten Tomatoes. You never know what you're gonna get with them. It's full of critics, and they have a certain opinion of how a movie like should look like, and if it looks different than that, they're gonna rate it low, or show whatever it is. But I really enjoyed it. Jonathan Majors absolutely killed it. I mean, to play He Who Remains and to play Kang and all the other variants that he's gonna keep playing, it's like that's genuine skill to have that type of like range, but also the same character. It was just good. All in all, it wasn't the best. It had its moments where I'm like, bruh, but it was good.
It brought so things that it will lead up to the future, obviously, because again, this is the first one that we get introduced to the actual Kang. On the post-credit scene, we got to see other variants of Kang that will lead into the future of Phase 6 and whatever Phase 5 has remaining with the multiverse saga stuff. But yeah, so now we're gonna go through the movie. So we're gonna go from the very beginning all the way to the end, and then obviously we'll be talking about the post-credit scenes last. Let's keep the second post-credit scene onto the very end, because that was important for other project. But the first one is, like I said, it's the Kang variant stuff. Okay, so the movie starts with the trailer stuff with Scott Lang walking through the streets, yada yada yada, telling her this life story before all this stuff happened on Endgame and whatnot. The movie started with no hook, so like in the beginning part of it, like it didn't catch my attention, and then it didn't feel like the stakes were high until later on Kang got introduced in the movie. So like, I don't know what y'all think about how the movie started.
I'll say that, so before Scott started talking, they showed like that brief moment with Janet and Kang where Kang basically crashes his ship and he's like, "Where am I?" And then you have Scott talking. I think you needed something a little stronger than that, because you're like, "Oh, Kang's there," but that's about it. You don't know anything else. Maybe if they showed something where you're like, "Oh, like Kang's for real," but then I see what they did with the backstory with Janet, so I guess it makes sense. They got to the quantum realm really fast. I will say that though, they got to the quantum realm like in minutes, but it still was like kind of like slow pace up until eventually you saw Kang in present time with Scott and Cassie when they were in jail. So I would have liked to be more captivated throughout the beginning part of the movie. What about you, Billy?
See, I agree with that, and what I could add to that, because I agree, I was hoping that because Kang is such a universal threat instead of a one universe threat, I was kind of hoping they would open the movie with different versions of Kang, because obviously there are infinite amount of versions. I was hoping we'd see a couple of those throughout, even if it's throughout the film or the beginning. I wanted to see what kind of destruction he caused in different forms, and I know we're probably going to get that. Kang Dynasty is coming up in a couple of years as the second Avengers movie that'll come out in that time span. But I really wanted to see something to where he almost pulled a Thanos in Infinity War when Thanos opens up the movie off of the third Thor movie, Ragnarok, when in that post-credit scene, the ship comes up, and then it's basically a continuation, but we jump to Thanos already decimating that ship, and he's about to kill Heimdall and Loki in that sense. I was kind of hoping, because He Who Remains was introduced, that we would get some sort of introduction to the Conqueror at the beginning, but maybe in a different form, because we haven't met, at the beginning of the movie, met our version of Kang that we saw throughout the 2-hour film.
No, that would have been good. Like if you saw another Kang variant just like decimating another world, and you're like, whoa.
And it's not even the one we're
dealing with. And it's not even the one. That would have been good. I would have liked that. Messi, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
I was on mute. I'm sorry. I said that would have been a good introduction to see how really of a badass Kang is. Yeah, we got to see a glimpse of it when Janet touches his brain chair. I didn't really
his
get
time
that.
Share, yeah.
His time share. Like I guess we
connected to his
brain.
His thoughts.
Yeah. So we got to see like a very small glimpse of him through the multiverse destroying other stuff. But there was like I said, like a small glimpse.
That was like 4 seconds.
That was literally 4 seconds. Like it would have been it would have been cool, like he said, like Billy said, to see. I see a whole introduction of how really bad Kang is. Like, yeah, we get it. We're nerds. We seen Kang before in other projects on Avengers, the TV show and Disney XD. Like, there's literally an episode called Disney Kang XD. Dynasty. Like,
throwback.
It's there. We know what's gonna happen, but in live action form, for people that don't know who Kang is or have no idea how powerful this person is, it would have been a good introduction to the movie to see like, yo, Ant-Man's gonna get his ass whooped. Like, no doubt. Like, it would have been interesting to see that.
See, that's the thing, because the whole beginning half of the movie until he shows up is they're like, oh yeah, the Conqueror. Oh, he's here. You better watch out for him. But like you didn't, so like you know that because like as a nerd, you're like, oh yeah, Kang. But like besides that, you're like, okay, better watch out for him. So what? But if you saw like at the beginning him just destroying something, you were like, bro, you better watch out for him. Like you would have really felt it. But that leads into my other point, which was actually it's Messi's point. With the Quantumania world, what were your thoughts on the world? I know you had some thoughts before we started recording.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking to you.
Oh, you're talking to me?
I said Messi. Your thoughts that you're talking about the visuals and costumes and stuff.
Oh, I thought you were talking about. Okay, yeah. So earlier, before obviously, like I saw the movie, and the first person that I called was Daniel, telling him everything about it, everything that I felt through the whole movie. He told me the CGI is good of the movie, and I said, and I agree with him. But the only thing that I didn't agree with is how the costumes of the actual characters were. Like, yes, there's some CGI characters that were there. Everything with the CGI was good with the characters. They look like they belong in the world. But the costumes, for people that were just wearing a costume or light up goggles to make them see they got eyes, like the little minions from Star Wars, little black ones with the hood up.
The Ewoks?
No, not the Ewoks. The ones that are like scrapyards picking up stuff. They're in Tatooine.
Oh,
say that again.
Those are Jawas, yeah.
Yeah, Jawas. Yeah, just like that. Like, but like I don't know. I feel like they didn't give too much thought, or they didn't really think about how they will look. Like everything with the CGI with the costumes look good, but those people that were just wearing a costume, it felt just like that. It didn't feel like the costume design for those extras or people on the back or whatever, they didn't put too much effort in it. It felt like literally a guy just dressed up in a costume. That's what it is. But you don't pay a ticket to see a movie to see guys in costumes like that. You expect them to look like actual aliens or whatever. But that was my only disagreement with the whole movie. With that was what Daniel was telling earlier. But the Quantum Realm, the CGI on that and all that, it was good. Not Doctor Strange level good, like the first Doctor Strange, but it was kind of impressive to see the whole new Star Wars in in Marvel.
Yeah. What do you think, Billy? I know you were kind of saying stuff like that in the beginning, talking about the wackiness of the quantum realm.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, it just comes down to, I think, the adjustment that this is virtually an entire fake world that we're seeing, and the first time that we're getting more than like 5 minutes of quantum realm. So it's something we got to obviously get used to. I thought for the most part, with the CGI track record Marvel has had in the last year and a half, I really did think they pulled it off really well. And I agree with costume design was kind of weird. Like, I think the reason being, and I could be wrong, but I know Kang, you have to get that number one priority.
Oh yeah.
The screenish, bluish up top. You have to get that right, or you are going to piss off a lot of fans.
Yeah.
So that's priority number one. Priority number two, and Dan and I mentioned MODOK. You have to get MODOK to look good, but understand that he's going to look funny at the same time because he was literally drawn to look funny in the comic book. And you have to find a good line to not screw that up. And I thought they did that. So I think that was their two priorities because, when you have a CGI area like the quantum realm, what movie directors and producers try to do is with their visual effects artists, they have basically 2 or 3 ideas that people are going to focus their eye level on for majority, Kang being one, and I think MODOK being the other. And then obviously Ant-Man, Janet, Hank, and Cassie. So with that, they're not going to focus as much on the world. It's going to take their vision off of the world. So if something messes up, they won't notice that. So the idea is they're going to focus on, the main characters and making sure they're looking good and blending into the world really well. But overall, I thought the world was cool. The trippiest scene to me was Scott with the other Ant-Man in that scene where he's going after.
Oh my gosh, that was trippy.
And that they're fading, they're jumping, they're like, I didn't know what to think, but I thought that was really, really cool.
You're like, I don't even know what to think. Bro, it was crazy. I was watching, I was like,
it was like that scene where
wild.
has to get spaghettied by WandaVision, but on steroids. It was
Yep.
I
it was a jumbo spaghetti plate.
I mean, we saw like 1 second of it in one of those trailers where you saw a bunch of Scott Langs and you're like, oh, okay. So you kind of knew it was coming, but actually watching it, you're like, damn, this is.
It happened more than one time and watching it on the big screen. So like we got multiple plates of spaghetti. Everybody gets to feed off. But the funniest part of that is just seeing Scott Lang on the Baskin Robin uniform suit. Just walking around, just like, yeah, guys, I'm one of you guys.
Everyone else is an Ant-Man, and then you got Baskin Robbins, Scott Lang is just in there. He's like, hey, yo, what's up? But you notice his name tag said Jack.
It said Jack. I don't know. I have to rewatch the first one.
His name tag might have said Jack in the first movie. I'm not sure. But that's where I felt where it was very Doctor Strangey. Where it reminded me when the Ancient One touched his head and he was like going on, like just thinking about that. That's where it reminded me of that, where it was just like trippy. It was just like, am I high or what? So that was cool. Billy was talking about MODOK. Okay. People, I know from trailers, people were hating on MODOK. They're like, his face, what? Blah, blah, blah. But he looks funny in the comics. That's the thing. Like to visually look at that in the movie theater, I'm like, it bothers me. Like I'm seeing his face and I'm like, it just looks so weird. But that's how it's supposed to look. It's supposed to look weird. So I didn't have a problem with it.
Every time in my theater was full, completely full, sold out. Every time MODOK shows up on the big screen and opens up his helmet, doesn't matter how serious the scene was, it will get everybody cracking up. Like everybody will just drop popcorn and start laughing at just MODOK's face because literally this guy. Okay, one, they did MODOK dirty. MODOK is actually other than being looking funny, MODOK is one of the most
He's an Avengers level threat.
He literally is, and they did it like a bodyguard or like a comic relief on this movie.
Yep.
But that's what he for this movie. That's what it was, a comic relief. And every time he was on the big screen, George Lopez. That's literally what I saw. With little.
Yup, Mr. Elastic.
Yep, this movie was exactly a step up version.
Electric. That's what it was.
From Shark Boy and Lava Girl. If you really wanna, if you don't wanna see this movie, just watch Shark Boy and Lava Girl and then compare it to this one, and then you'll watch the movie, which is the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought it was kind of cool that they were able to connect Darren Cross to being MODOK, though.
Yeah.
I actually appreciated that just because, like, I thought Ant-Man 1 was a good start. And again, small level story because he's a small level character, metaphorically. But I just thought Darren Cross was a bland villain. You know, he's a rich guy who's jealous of Hank Pym and wants the tech that Scott Lang is given. And that's like it. There's like no motive to that. So I thought it was kind of cool that not only is dude a lame villain, but, you know, he gets an unfortunate demise and ends up being one of the funniest looking characters in the MCU with the most powerful villain, though. So I appreciated that they implemented them and sort of like were able to connect Ant-Man 1 and 3 there.
They did have a lot of connections from the previous two movies, which I enjoyed because it is a trilogy. I mean, maybe there'll be a fourth one. I don't know, but it's still a trilogy. So that's how I have my mindset as. So I like that they connect things from previous movies, but you could still watch it without being lost, because there's sometimes where you watch a movie and you're like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, because you forget or you just didn't watch the previous ones like some casual fans do. But this, you could like watch it, fully understand, and then there's like those extra hidden connections. And sometimes they even have flashbacks to, like they had the flashback with MODOK. A lot of people, probably like casual people, would have forgotten completely about that. But having a flashback where you see like what happened to Darren that made him turn into MODOK, I love that, because like, one, I love that even as a hardcore nerd, I just like visually being able to see things from the past. But two, just for the casual fan, it helps them. So that's cool. But as Messi was saying, I'm like, he was done dirty with I think it's just because Marvel has all these plans with all these characters, villains, heroes, all this stuff, and MODOK wasn't really in their plans for as strong as MODOK is in the comics. So they're like, okay, well, how can we put him in here, kind of like a fan service, but also a connection? And that's where I think they brought in Darren Cross and like, okay, we can have a connection, but also he's not going to be that important, more like a one and done, and people are just going to have to get used to it.
It's unfortunate because he could have been, with the Fantastic Four coming, and they're closer and closer, obviously, with, you know, Nathan Richards being a variant of Kang and whatnot. They're getting here. I just thought it would have been cool to keep him around because he is a Fantastic Four thread in some of the comic storylines, especially in their early comings in the 50s. Like he's a big threat to them.
Yeah.
So I really thought that would have been something cool to set up, even if he like barely survives and whatnot. But I don't know, just didn't feel like that was in their plans, unfortunately.
That would have been cool.
They do that a lot with a lot of their villains. Like they just put them on a movie just to be there, and then they kill them off in the same movie, and then we don't get to see again those great villains, like Gore. Wait, Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah, Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah,
Right.
he is an awesome villain, but again, they just put him on a movie just to put him in a movie, and then kill him off. Like we could have seen more of this character on other stuff, but it was sad. I do hope that was not the last moment that we saw MODOK. I would like to see MODOK again.
He's dead.
Care. No, I know, but like
I feel like he's dead, man.
We see a body on the floor.
You saw a body. Your theory of you didn't see a body, you saw a body.
Doesn't work.
He's dead.
It doesn't work. Like I would like to see him again. Like even though his face it was all funny looking, but like he kind of redeemed himself in the end. He's not
Which
a
is
dick no more.
why we shouldn't see him again, because now he's like a good guy.
I know he's an anti-hero, man. What's up with all these
So
anti-heroes?
weird. It bothers
I don't
me.
know.
That I will
we need
say
some
that was
villain
my
villains.
biggest. I hate watching this scene of all the scenes that were in Ant-Man. I talked to Messi about it. He kind of liked it. Whatever.
It was
You
funny.
can suck my nuts. It was not funny. They
It was
had
hilarious.
hit and misses jokes. I think a lot of the jokes that Ant-Man had in this movie, I think they did well. I was like, yeah, that's pretty funny. I will say the funniest one to me personally was when they were down in the quantum realm and Hank is like looking at all the character. He goes, holy shit, that guy looks like broccoli. And then they point at the Quantumania character and he was straight up a broccoli piece with eyeballs. Oh my gosh, I lost it. That was too funny. I was not expecting that because I saw all the other Quantumania characters and they just looked like weird aliens. But that guy looked like a straight up piece of broccoli. It was just too funny. So a lot of the jokes hit, but the one scene when Morak goes to redeem himself, quote unquote, when he was having his not his monologue, but he was having his talk with Cassie. He's like, what do I do? And she's like, don't be a dick. And he's like, how do I not be a dick? And it was just so stupid. Oh my gosh. This is MODOK. And this guy's saying, how do I not be a dick to go be a good guy? I'm like, oh, this is so cringe. It was the ultimate cringe.
Bro, it was so funny.
It was
all
not
I saw,
funny. It was cringe.
It was like a little baby with his little arms, little legs. It's like, how to stop being a dick? Like, dude, how do you not find that funny? I don't
It was
understand.
so cringe.
That was hilarious. The scene, okay, so when he was dying, like the last moment, he was grabbing Scott Lang's face. I don't know if you've seen Scary Movie 2. On that scene when the guy's like carving the turkey and then he grabs a mashed potato and then pass it on to the other like that. All like that's literally what I saw when he was grabbing this hand. Like it was
with
his
little
disgusting.
arm when he's like,
yeah, little arm, little baby arms. Yeah, so the jokes were hit and miss. I found more funny than not funny.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
The good thing about these jokes about this specific movie that they were placed in a good moment and they were not too much or they were not trying too hard to make the movie funny. Like, yes, the whole MCU is a whole comic relief at this point, but comparing it to Thor, like Thor is like the biggest example of how to do jokes bad and just throw jokes out of nowhere for no reason. This movie did it like, for me personally, I think they did it like 100% better job at the comedy aspect of the movie. Like, they did a serious part. It was serious. This is a serious part. By the end of it, they throw a joke, whatever, make you laugh, and they continue on. They don't continue with it to make it seem like, okay, we get a joke, let it go and move on. So yeah, the jokes on this movie were good on the point that like they didn't feel like they were throwing out your face, and they didn't make you feel like overwhelmed of the lame jokes that they mostly do in every movie. So I like that about this specific one.
Yeah. All right. The man of the show, Kang, the freaking Conqueror. This man ate every scene he was in. I mean, I was like, I need more. First off, what Billy was talking about earlier, the fact that they introduced him early, and then you can have like other variants of him. So it's like, you don't know if he's gonna die, you don't know if he's gonna live, you don't know how he's gonna act. You got all these different variants that could show up in all these different projects. But like seeing him earlier versus just like a 2-second cameo here and there throughout phase 1 through 3 is just, it was amazing. Just because it's gonna make you want it's gonna make you invested in the big bad of this saga more than before, just because you're seeing him more. But he was so good. I was almost borderline rooting for this man because of how much I wanted to see him just wreck stuff. I will say though, I think he could have been more powerful in this film. Just
it could have been more. I agree on that, but I don't know. I felt like the scenes that he was in already, he was pretty powerful as it was. Like, because most of the half of the movie he didn't have powers because his share was not built and whatever. That's what
you didn't really see his powers till the final scene.
Yeah, so like we didn't get to see that. So I guess I know what I understand what you mean, but I don't know. When we got to see, he was pretty powerful.
Okay, here's what I mean. I didn't want to go this far into. No, I won't say it yet. Billy, what are your thoughts on Kang?
I mean, you covered a lot of it. He's brute. He's powerful. As basic as a lot of people could find it, I liked the ultimatum that he did by holding Cassie basically hostage. And it was almost like a chair heist for Scott Lang. It's similar to how he pulled a time heist in Avengers Endgame to, get Pym particles and put the stones back, get the stones and whatnot. But I really like that. I think what we got to see here was more of the mind, because what a lot of people don't know about Kang is how powerful his mind is. He's one of the most advanced minds in the entire galaxy. I mean, more than Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. So for us to see more of the mind in this one, I thought was really cool. Obviously, his chair is going to not only play a big factor in this movie when people see it, if they haven't already, it's going to play a big factor in the entire MCU because that is his main power source. But I like the more grounded emphasis on Kang in this one, especially when you think about it in the quantum realm. It's a strong point for Ant-Man because it complements his power style and his suit and whatnot and where his technology came from with Hank Pym. And in this case, it weakens Kang. But if this is the weakest we see Kang in the quantum realm, movies, man.
No, you're right. That's true. Like, if this is our weakest Kang, bro, what?
We got another thing coming.
I think when we saw who he remains on Loki, I think that was the weakest one. Let's agree, because he didn't do anything.
But he didn't call himself Kang.
True, he chose to be just a timekeeper. To be fair, he admitted that.
Yeah, so to see Kang, to this new variant that we just saw, a little more powerful, and then, like I said earlier, there's a post-credit scene where we got to see. I don't know if this is like the High Counselor of Kangs, those three dudes that we saw at the end. But if it is, then I'm guessing those are like the most powerful ones because they call everybody out. So that post-credit scene reminded me of when Thanos goes, "Okay, screw everybody else. I'm gonna do it myself," and then he grabs the gauntlet. Yeah, so that scene is what I got the comparison of this one. So if this is the case, I wonder the strongness, not the strongness stuff, like or the powerful stuff that's gonna come from this scene moving forward. Like how when are we gonna see Kang the next? That's my question.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna be in Loki. Loki season 2. Let's be real. But
tease.
Yeah. But what Billy was saying with his mind, another thing that I really love with Kang and just with characters and villains, I love a good villain. Like, that's probably one of my favorite thing in a movie, a good antagonist, especially superhero movies, then, good villain. And it's not necessarily their powers, it's more their intimidating factor. Like Zemo in Civil War. intimidating with the way that he could get the Avengers to fight themselves without even doing anything. Thanos, you have his classic like intimidating things where an Endgame, he was literally just sitting there waiting for the Avengers. And then he had like his scene. He's like, oh yeah, where did that bring you? Back to me. Bro, that's intimidating AF. I was like, damn, that's good. Like this make a video, what are they called? Those poetry people that go to poetry slams. Like that's Thanos right there. But so Kang, when Cassie and Ant-Man were in jail, and Ant-Man's like, nah, I ain't doing it. And he just like taps his little bracelet, and this dude's like basically about to get choked to death. I was like, damn. He's like, you do not, like, I am not, you want me to ask you like in a nice way or in a mean way? Like I'll do things. And he's like, nah. And then he goes to his daughter and he's like, I will literally F you up. You're out of your league, Ant-Man. And I was like, damn, that's good stuff. Like this man just dropping one-liners here and there. So I love that. That makes me love a villain more. But what I was alluding to earlier that I finally say was this Kang got casted out by the other Kangs, meaning he had to be
really
a pretty strong AF Kang, because why else would he get banished from the other Kangs? Unless he got banished from He Who Remains when he banished, like when he kind of like controlled time, which that was my first thought. But now I'm thinking after seeing the post-credit scene, maybe he got banished by the other Kangs. And I'm pretty sure he said something towards the end about the other Kangs. So I don't know if it was He Who Remains that banished him or the other Kangs. But point is, he had to be pretty strong. And my second, I don't know if it's I'd say it's my biggest gripe with the movie. My second biggest gripe was that one scene where he said, I don't know how to not be a dick. That was, I don't know, I hated that. But my biggest gripe with the movie was no one died.
Yeah.
I can't, you can't sit here and tell me this is Kang the Conqueror, the big bad, a guy who got banished by other Kangs because of how big bad he is compared to even the other big bad Kangs. And this is setting up the new dynasty, and no one died. Not Hank, not Scott, not a variant of Scott. I mean, I guess technically a variant of Scott, but that part of the scene doesn't count. Janet, not Janet. I mean, nobody. I was like, there was stakes.
I
but
mean,
the stakes didn't come through.
MODOK died.
I don't care about MODOK. Someone needed to, even if it was a variant of Scott Lang that you like thought was the real Scott Lang, and then turns out it was a variant, and you're like, oh, okay, like you can take a breather. This is just a variant. I don't know how they would have pulled that off, but something like that. But no one died. Even in Ant-Man 1, you had Anthony that died, and you're like, Anthony, no. Like even you had that, but no one. I mean, I don't know. That bothered me. I genuinely, like, if I was a betting man, I would have bet money that someone was gonna die, and the fact that no one died really surprised me.
I thought they were gonna kill off Scott, man. I really thought it was gonna happen. I believed going into this that Cassie would get released because, I mean, they made it clear from the trailer and the way Kang's dialogue worked that Cassie was going to be hostage. She basically was most of the movie when she got him into the quantum realm. And I really thought he was going to let her go. And then I thought he was just going to kill Scott and Hank and Janet right in front of her. And I really thought that's how they would have established him, because in my mind, I'm like, what is a better way to establish a new villain you don't F with? Why don't you kill everybody? Yeah. Why don't you return the hostage, but kill everybody saving the hostage? I thought that would have been such a great idea, and it would have left us like in our seats like, what? Who is it? Yeah. Who is it? And there are more of him? What the heck? And I even thought like Hank or Janet would die, because we finally have gotten the arc that they're back together. You know, Hank Pym is a retired scientist. Janet was in the quantum realm. We finally got to see her like meet Kang, work with Kang. So it's like her stories come full circle. And I was disappointed in that. I'm like, what are they going to do in Secret Wars? I know that's what they're setting up. And when all these dimensions and all these universes start colliding, which is, I know, ideally what they want. But, like, what are those two going to do? I know Cassie's a young Avenger. Like, that's clear.
Yeah.
And then even Scott's arc. Scott was important for Phase 3. You know, when he came through and he got everyone back and he solved Endgame with the Pym particles, like, I thought his arc was over. So I was like, that's a perfect way to kill him. Reboot this Ant-Man with Cassie, but it just did not happen. I was kind of bummed personally.
Yeah. So I'm guessing we're in the part of the episode that we're gonna talk about crap of the movie. This is my favorite part. Okay, so I got a few things that I want to let go. Okay, first thing, Louise was not in this movie. I was disappointed that Louise was not in this movie at all.
That's true.
That's literally one of the most fan favorite characters of the whole MCU. He is not on this movie. Like, you literally at Disney, you had one job.
You could have put him narrating Ant-Man's book.
That would have been so smart right there.
Or in the end, when he's just narrating, like, afterwards. Scott narrated the book at the end and not the book at the end. He narrated the book in the beginning and then, like, what happened in the movie at the end. Both of those narrations could have been.
That's
Luis.
That's literally just pay him a couple hundred. He will do it. Fans love him. It would have been awesome. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing, I didn't like how the movie ended. I was disappointed with the ending. I didn't really care about the ending. After they go back to Earth, I lost connection to the movie. Okay, try to make this sense. An Endgame, when Scott Lang comes back to Earth from the quantum realm, how long he was down there for?
What, 5 hours, right?
5 hours, right? How many years passed on Earth? 5 years, right? How long were they down there? They were down for 2 hours. So if the logic makes sense, 2 years would have passed on Earth. When they came back,
they were in a different part of the quantum realm. So maybe time works different in that part of the quantum realm.
No, you can't explain it on another movie. Okay, so this is how quantum realm works, and expect it to make sense.
How do you know how the quantum realm works?
They explain it. They explain time works differently down there, and they make it. They said, okay, so a year is an hour for us.
Yeah, but he didn't. But he wasn't in. He was in, like, the void. He wasn't in.
He wasn't
the universe part of the quantum realm.
They said quantum realm. Where were we at on this movie? The quantum realm.
But a different part of the quantum.
Suck my nuts. They say quantum realms. I'm going with quantum realms. It didn't. To make it make sense, 2 years would have sufficed and make it make sense. But no, they just went back to the moment that they left. Why? Third thing is, I jumped back. No.
First, Earth is Earth. Guess how much time works differently in Earth? You got the Asian zone. I don't know what zone that is. You got America with 3 different time zones. So time works differently on Earth. Time can work differently in different parts of the quantum realm.
No. The only reason why we have different time zones is because of how the Earth is and now where the sun is.
And how do you know what the quantum realm looks like?
Daniel, shut up and suck a toe. They said the quantum realm time works differently. They didn't say what specific area of the quantum realm works differently. They said the whole quantum realm.
Whatever.
Exactly.
Daniel, he's right. Halfway through the movie in Endgame, Scott is literally explaining to Cap and to Iron Man how the quantum realm worked, and to Black Widow. It was in the scene when they let him in when he was waving at the door. He explained he was down there for 5 hours, and he mentioned 5 years passed, and they put 2 and 2 together. And he never said a specific part.
Exactly.
He said the realm.
Exactly. All he said, quantum realm. And where were we on this movie? On the quantum realm. So, thank you very much, Bill. So, my other thing, jumping on what Billy said, is this king died. Why? I know there's other variants of him, but why have him died when he's one of the most powerful kings, quote unquote, that we have seen so far? But nobody died. Like, I'm piggyback on what Daniel said as well. No one died on this movie going against one of the most powerful villains there is. Why? A third movie means someone dies. I don't understand.
You don't get happily ever after in a trilogy. It doesn't work like that.
I don't understand why no one died on this movie. Don't know why. Fourth thing. This is in my last one.
How many things do you have?
Going back to the ending. A lot of people were making the theory of when they come back from the quantum realm, time has passed, and when they came back, King Dynasty was taking place. That was a theory.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard that, but it wouldn't make sense. 2 years have passed, and we're in phase 6.
Yeah, because you don't know how time works. So if they came back from Earth, it could have already been time zone of King Dynasty.
Exactly. So that I thought, and a lot of people were making the theory. I didn't come with a theory. You actually talked about it on this podcast that when they come back, 2 years would have passed, and King Dynasty would have start at that moment. And then the rest of phase 5 and phase 6 until that moment of when they come back, that's what phase 5 and phase 6 would have taken place. So we want to see Ant-Man until King Dynasty again. Or whoever would have lived, because no one died on this movie. So we thought people would have died. So that's problem 4. I thought that theory would have came through, and when they come back, they were on that moment of the phase or the future or whatever. I'm done.
No, but what Billy was saying, you could have killed Janet because now she's back and she has this huge connection to this entire movie. So it would have been a good way. And she's old as heck.
But you just got her back.
So what? It's a trilogy. So, and you could have killed Hank because he's old as crap too. And he's like the senior Ant-Man. Now you got senior Ant-Man, normal Ant-Man, daddy Ant-Man, and then now you got baby Ant-Man. So it's like you got all these Ant-Mans. You could have at least killed the old one. So, and he's like the OG, like in the comics, it's Hank. So it would have been cool had he died. Then you got Scott, who, like Billy was saying, this is his trilogy. His arc kind of ended with Endgame, and now you got this where it's like he's getting some time back with his daughter, but like this would have been a cool sacrifice type of thing. So I didn't have as big of a problem with Kang dying because there's going to be so many variants. Kangs are going to die. My problem was that no one died with him. So like, I thought when he was like, we just both have to lose, like that quote, I was like, they both die.
That would have been so good.
Or
that would have been a good ending for him.
When he put the and they both got trapped there, I was like, oh, they both get trapped. That makes sense. They both lose. And then my theory of the Shang-Chi post-credit scene where they're like, it's a signal coming down from somewhere. We don't know where. I'm like, that's Ant-Man sending a signal to Shang-Chi saying, yo, come rescue me. It makes sense. And then freaking, who was it? Cassie can suck my nuts because she's like, oh, let's bring daddy back. No, daddy needs to either stay there or die. I'm sorry, Cassie. You're the future of the Young Avengers and phase 5 and 6. We don't need 3 Ant-Mans and 2 Wasps running around in the MCU. That's too many. There's too many
ants. Too many ants. What is this? I agree. I didn't think about it. I didn't think about that theory that you just said about
the
them
sending a
signal. Yeah, that would have been so perfect for that scene. They got stuck. in the quantum realm. God knows for how long, and that's them sending the signal to Shang-Chi. So this is another post-credit scene that is leading up to nothing until next Shang-Chi movie that we probably will
It
see
could
what
be
the heck
connected
is.
to the Marvels.
You think?
It's either connected. Well, I thought it was connected to Ant-Man, but if it's not, then it's got to be connected to the Marvels.
I don't know. People keep saying that the 10 rings and the things from Kamala, they're all connected. They're to Kang Dynasty, not Kang Dynasty, the Kang that we just saw with the rings and all that crap. People were making it seem that everything is connected to that, but so far it has not.
I don't know. All right, Billy, we got 2 post-credit scenes. First one, we saw 3, like, I don't know if they're the headkeeper Kangs or something like that. We saw 3 Kangs, and they grabbed like thousands of other Kangs to be together. What do you think about that?
Oh man, it was like watching a strip of comic that you've always wanted to see just pop up on screen, man. That's clearly a setup, and I think that's what this movie. If you could pick one thing that this movie did right, but also maybe did a little too much, was just plaster setup in your face, and that was definitely it. It showed you, number one, this ain't the only Kang we got. Number two, this isn't the most powerful one, and 3, you want to see 1,000 more? We got time quote unquote that we were like teased about in Loki, and then they were robots. Like that is exactly what we basically just saw. The real quote timekeepers and the real keepers of all things multiverse was those Kangs and them grabbing 1,000 more. That was honestly really cool.
I didn't think about that. The timekeepers, that they kind of like are the possible timekeepers.
Yeah. So I liked it. I thought it was a great first post-credit scene.
Messy.
Like I said earlier, this post credit scene felt like that scene from Thanos grabbing the gauntlet and saying I'll do it myself, type of thing. Seeing this so early, because we saw that scene of Thanos doing that like almost to the Infinity War, like
Age of Ultron.
That was Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Was the post-credit of Age of Ultron.
Well, phase 2. We got to see on phase 2. I mean, okay, so think about it like that. Never mind. I'll rewind what I was going to say, because I thought that was way closer to Infinity War. I mean, technically yes, but there was like 10 projects.
It was at the end of phase 2. And then you had phase 3. This
one is the first phase, the first movie of the phase. So yeah, it makes sense of introducing all the Kangs. But yeah, so this scene felt for me like that moment of Thanos grabbing the gauntlet. So yeah, so we saw what Thanos did. Obviously, he came in hard. He was not playing any games. He literally snapped the whole world away, half of the population. That's why we got on Endgame. So yeah, so if I'm comparing the 2 moments, I believe shit is about to drop in real quick, because the next post-credit scene is very, very interesting, and I was not expecting that at all. I thought I got spoiled on TikTok, thinking that Scarlet Witch was back. I don't know why I thought that was the actual post-credit scene, but no, we got 100% something different.
Bro, this is what happened, Billy. Let me tell you, this man, because we were gonna make a video for our page, and so he's like scrolling through TikTok to find something, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!" Like he thought he saw a post-credit scene of Scarlet Witch, so he messages me. He's like, "Dude, record your reaction in the theater because I want to see what it is." He didn't tell me what it was. I was like, "Okay," and then I saw the Loki post-credit scene, and I was still pretty shook. I was like, "Yo, that's Loki. That's cool." And then he saw the movie like shortly after me. And he's like, "Oh, when I told you to record, that's not what I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be Scarlet Witch." I was like, it was still interesting, but that was pretty funny. So what I thought about the post-credit scene was it made, like Billy was saying, set up. So it makes me think, is this post-credit scene meaning that these kings are going to be thrown out into a bunch of different projects, or I guess, or will Kang Dynasty be multiple kings, or will it just be one king? Because in my opinion, I always knew that there was gonna be variants, but I saw Kang Dynasty as a one king guy. But now after seeing like all of them together and then seeing like the three headmasters type of thing, do you think there'll be more kings in the Kang Dynasty film?
100%.
Oh yeah, that movie, yeah, for sure.
I think that was the perfect setup to actually bridge the gap of what kind of variants there are. You know, there's a Pharaoh variant, there's an Iron Man variant, there's even a Skrull Kang in the comic at one point. And I think what this is Kang becoming basically this manifestation of the multiverse in a physical embodiment, where he is now sending any kind of Kang he has to any universe that he has not yet conquered or taken over. And now the main objective, because the Avengers and Scott Lang has pissed him off so bad, it's time to unleash havoc, and it's time to, quote unquote, secure that dynasty by sending multiple Kangs out. And I do think Kang Dynasty will not only be sort of the final product of that to show us what he's done, but I also think we're going to see multiple Kangs together in that movie. I definitely think that would happen.
Oh yeah, I agree with you that we will see more of Kang. But the question is, other than obviously on Kang Dynasty and Loki, where or when are we gonna see them again? Other than those two, because from what I'm seeing right now, the only multiverse movies or show or anything connected to it is Loki, obviously Kang Dynasty, and Doctor Strange with all the multiverse crap.
Fantastic Four.
But that is it confirmed to be a multiverse thing?
It's not confirmed, but you asked me where do I think he'll show up, so I'm telling you where I think he'll show up.
Doctor Doom is known to want the chair that Kang has, and is known to try to steal that chair. And that's something they will probably set up, especially for a Secret Wars movie, because Doctor Doom is part of the reason Secret Wars even happens in the first place. So I definitely think we'll see him in that movie for that reason, in connection to Doom and the Reed Richards connection. I could potentially, I know Guardians of the Galaxy is coming up, and I know what kind of movie that's going to be. Conclusion of a trilogy, conclusion of the Guardians and the team they have now. But there's always that chance, right? They're cosmic, and Kang is cosmic. So I feel like even if it's not in the main movie, there's a chance.
Post-credit scene.
Yeah, there's a chance we could see another variant of Kang. Heck, they could even pop up on one in the movie, and we're just not being told that. You know, it's that chance.
Yeah. And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and I'm pretty sure you'll have someone die in Guardians, because they actually know how to finish a trilogy. So
for sure.
What if
whatever,
Dan?
bro? I mean, I don't want any of them to die because I'm so emotionally attached to them. Bro, but if none of them die, bro, someone need to die.
Dude, that trailer was heart-ripping enough. Somebody's got to die. Peter Quill's crying at a table.
Bro, when I saw Rocket,
that's
like,
Rocket
stretched out.
Oh,
I was
Rocket.
like,
his arc is over too.
oh my gosh.
Okay,
it was
I wanna talk about the trailer real quick. We're talking about it.
Wait.
Wait, real quick. This is the only thing I want to say about the trailer, about the Guardians trailer. I don't know if you guys noticed, because I have closed captions on my phone on YouTube for trailers. My English not very good looking.
Deaf.
I'm sorry. No, it's because my English not very good looking. I heard at the very, very end of the trailer, it says Rocket's name talking, because at the end of the trailer he's talking in the trailer before we see Star-Lord and Gamora and Nebula doing that romance scene that they were looking gazing through each other's eyes. he's talking, like narrating something, and his voice changed, but the name is still Groot.
You mean Rocket?
I mean, yeah, Rocket. Do you think that we finally get to see what he's building, and he becomes like a cyborg or a robot or something? Like Rocket may die as a physical form of the raccoon, but he maybe will become a cyborg or a robot or whatever. Whatever he's building, a human per se.
I think he's dead, bro.
I don't know. I will say, rewatch the trailer, put those closed captions on, and really listen to his voice.
Maybe they
I
messed up the trailer.
I don't know. I heard his voice change, and then I'm getting hope that he's not gonna die. I don't want him to die.
Yeah, I think Rocket will go out trying to kill his creator. I kind of think that's what they're setting up because they've already established that dude is not good. And Rocket, that comment, like, it's not that he's improving the race, it's that he's never satisfied with what he has.
Yeah.
So I almost think that's at the point where Rocket knows how bad of a dude he is, and he's willing to go out, guns ablazing, trying to kill that man.
Oh my
I
god.
agree. Okay, so final thing that we're gonna talk about is the second post-credit scene where we see Loki. I was wondering when this man was gonna show up because we got the teaser at the end of the season finale of Loki, season 1. We're like, oh dang, that's Kang. So is he gonna show up in Ant-Man? Well, he did in the post-credit scene. So we got Kang, we got Mobius,
Mobius, something like that.
I always say Morbius, and I get confused.
Yeah, they're similar.
Not Morbius, although it's Morbin time every time. So, but point is, we got Loki. I thought that was really cool. I wonder if this is like Kang before all the Kangs started being Kang in a sense. Because okay, so in the season, I don't know, that didn't make sense. But in the season finale of Loki, He Who Remains kind of explains what happened. He's like, oh yeah, we were all scientists and we all met and we all tried to like build something, but then once, one Kang thought they were better than the other King, and then they all thought they were better than each other. And that's what happened. So what if, because this looked like it's set in the past. So what if this Kang is one of the earlier Kangs before like the multiversal war of Kangs happens?
I don't know, because Kang is from the future. So it wouldn't make sense that this Kang in the past is one of the first ones. Maybe this is a more chill back Kang. I don't know. He likes the 80s, 50s, whatever era that scene was on. But I don't know. He could be like another laid back variant. Maybe he's not as evil as the other ones. But I don't know. I don't think this is one of the first ones. I think he's a variant for sure. But I don't think this specific one that we're gonna see that we saw on the trailer. Well, I don't know if this is the thing now. Marvel's doing right now, just popping trailers by the end of the movie instead of doing a post-credit scene.
We didn't get a trailer this movie.
This basically was a teaser trailer,
but it was
like
not a trailer.
It was a clip from the show, from the show.
That's what post-credit scenes always are.
No, not promoting. This is basically promoting Loki 100%. But whatever, that's another point. Don't argue with me. Let me whatever. But I don't think this is another evil. Maybe evil because he's a Kang, but not as evil as the Kang that we just saw in Ant-Man. I don't know.
What if, crazy theory, Fantastic Four at some point is set in the 60s? Maybe the whole movie's not in the 60s, but something to do with the 60s is in Fantastic Four. What if this is the 60s and it connects somehow to Fantastic Four? What if?
What if?
Who knows?
Like, who knows what what they're actually trying to do. But I don't think Fantastic Four is back in the 60s. I think that's way too far.
So we lost Billy. The only person that died today. No, not really. I shouldn't say that. But
From the podcast, he did.
From the podcast. Point is, Loki season 2. It's coming out soon. Possibly one of the only MCU shows to come out soon in 2023. We'll see. But this is basically our show. We are going to give our final ratings of what we think Ant-Man Quantumania is on a scale of 1 to 10. Messi, you can go ahead. The floor is yours.
All right. I did like this movie. So, Rotten Tomatoes, you can suck a big fat wiener because I don't understand why you're giving this movie really, 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 really low scores. I gave this movie a 7.5. I actually did like this movie a lot. It had its flaws, yeah, but it does not deserve a 4. I have no idea why they're giving it a 4. Yeah, so 7.5 on my side.
Okay. I go back and forth between a 6.5 and a 7. When I think of a 6, I think of an okay movie. When I think of 7, I think of a good movie. I think it was a good movie, but then there's just certain parts like not killing someone is such a vital part of the movie. It's like that's a big chunk of the movie, and MODOK is a big character, but wasn't a big chunk of the movie. So that's where I try to break it down a little bit.
They killed the wrong character. That's it.
They did. They killed the wrong character. You could have kept MODOK alive and killed off someone else, a hero. But I'll give it a 6.5. So our collective score is a 7.
Yeah.
But then I do want to say this. We gave a collective score of 7 for Black Adam. And I want to pose this question before we end. Do you think
Black Adam
is better than Black Adam?
100%. Black Adam is a 4. I don't care no more. I am done with the DCEU part of the movies. I'm done. Whatever.
But you gave it a 7.
I take it back. I honestly take it back. This is Messi stating this comment right now, or this statement. Black Adam, literally dog shit. I'm quoting the Dwayne Johnson on his famous meme.
Oh my gosh.
It is. There's no other lower crap than a movie. That movie was. Is not. I tried to rewatch it on HBO Max. It's not rewatchable. That's a big thing for me. If a movie is not rewatchable, why would I give it a high rating? I don't know why would I give it a high rating. I think the only reason I give it a high rating is because of Henry Cavill was in the movie, and he's not even part of the effing DC no more. I'm tired with DC, bro. I'm so tired.
I want to say this, and then we'll close it out. There's been a trend, not just with us, with everyone. A first-time movie experience is going to be different than a second-time movie experience.
Yes.
And we try to give our honest ratings. Like, we're not capping when we're telling you how we feel in this moment. Like, yeah, Messi generally gives it a 7.5. I genuinely give it a 6.5. Messi's going to see it again on Saturday. His review might change.
May change. Yeah, 100%. It may change.
I'm not going to see it on Saturday, but whenever I see it for a second time, my review might change. I hope it stays the same because that's how I want my ratings to be true. But we gave Thor a higher rating than we would ever think now. So it's like that first time movie experience versus the rewatchable experience. So that's why you should make your own opinions. This is just our opinions, but make your own opinions. Screw Rotten Tomatoes. Screw audience score, even though audience score was like way higher than Rotten Tomatoes. Screw our score, but hopefully you agree with our score. But you can find me at Danny Ford.
Wait. Before you can find Danny before we depart our ways, I want to give again the final right now. Today is the 16, 11:51, 52 right now of 2023. The Rotten Tomato for this movie is a 49%. Eternals is 47. This 2% away from being the lowest Rotten Tomato of the whole MCU. Audience score is 84%. And that's the first day the movie comes out to the world.
Yeah.
So again, today is the 16th of February. So there's still time for that number to go higher and lower. So there's a lot. That's a big difference. So there's a lot of people who actually like this movie, and they're giving it generally at 8 out of 10. So, like you said, Daniel, and to everybody whoever's listening, the 5 views that we get, listen, go watch the movie. Don't base your opinions on other people. Don't be a bot. Be a person with your own opinion. Go watch it, enjoy it. Let us know what you think. Like Denny said, you can find him at Denny42 with 3 N's, 2 was taken. I took his slang. Like
Dang. You have been warned. I took your slang.
You can always find me at Messi.17.
Messi.17 score.
Yeah, if you don't want to follow us individually, you can always follow us on Qualified Heroes. We got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and you can always message us through there. Let us know, comment, whatever, and TikTok too. Yeah, let us know. Again, watch the movie for yourself. Make your own opinion and let us know if you agree or disagree with us. Maybe you rate it higher than us. Maybe you rate it lower than us. Maybe you agree with Rotten Tomatoes. If you do, you can suck my toes because I don't care if you really agree with them. But that's our episode.
Unqualified Heroes.
Ba, 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 ba.